Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Geek and I. This is your weekly destination for about 10 seconds on your way to some other video. But thanks for stopping by for those 10 seconds. We really appreciate it.
And you got that in under 10 seconds. Great.
Yeah.
At least they get to thank you. That's a professional broadcaster, people.
That's it right there.
He hit the post.
So tonight's stream is, what episode is this? I didn't even read
This side of paradise.
This side of paradise. That is right. What'd you guys think of this one?
I had issues watching this. I don't think it was my TV because I rarely have issues, but I mean, this episode glitched a lot. And I don't know why. Maybe it was just me, but I've never had that kind of issue. And I watched a different show on the same streaming service and didn't have any issues at all. But yeah, there was a lot of glitching. And
When'd you watch it?
Paramount.
No, it went.
Oh, about an hour ago.
Oh, okay. So you and I are probably streaming it simultaneously and
There you go.
couldn't handle the traffic. No,
So it's your fault.
it's my fault. Yeah.
Yeah, everything. Can't have more than two people on Paramount Plus at the same time.
Yep.
But I enjoyed this one again. This is number 3.
Yeah, it's a pretty good episode. It's a solid episode. A couple minor quibbles with it, but we get a lot of Spock character development, which is always welcome. Again, outside the scenes in the transporter room and the bridge and the Western town reuse, I always laughed at all these colonies look exactly like Western towns.
Well, is it a Western town or is it? I mean, that house looked like it was straight out of either Little House or the Waltons.
Yeah, it's total prairie vibe. And at one point, I even laughed because they said how they couldn't get the subspace radio to work, and there's no modern equipment anywhere in any of those sets. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. It was good also to get them outside. I love it when they do outside planet shots. I think the cinematography, excuse me, wise, they get a little bit more inventive. And I enjoyed it. I think McCoy doesn't have a lot of moments, but the moments he's got in this episode are great.
Now I gotta say the old head Jim boy, that was kind of getting old.
Yeah, but when he throws out the line, I'll show you how fast I can put you in a hospital. That cracks me up every time, because at that point I'm thinking, I think he's fine. Like how can you tell aggressive McCoy from just McCoy?
Well, wasn't the powder supposed to give you joy and not anger?
Well, remember they were playing. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but they were playing the sound that nobody could hear, except every time they cut back to the bridge, we had that annoying sound.
Yeah.
We can hear it. Everybody else down there won't hear it. Yeah, and I was also impressed how he threw a punch and didn't spill his drink.
Well, that was, I was like, well, that's a professional right there. McCoy's a pro.
He's got Mick in his name, so the chances of him spilling a drink are pretty low to begin with.
So we'll check this one out. It starts out they're approaching what is it? Omicron Ceti III.
That's the one.
And we've skipped right over Was there a Ceti 2 and a Ceti 1, and we just said we don't need to get that far?
Well, you come in from the back end, so you could have hit 987654, then hit 3.
Okay.
Or maybe it's Omicron Ceti IV, so, because 3 blew up. We lose count of these planets with the numbers.
So we learned something about Berthold rays. So they're a recent discovery, and I guess how long has that been there? What, they've been on that planet 3-4 years?
Yep.
They've been there for at least 4 years. Yeah. And they've been out there. It took them a year to get there. So I guess they were not in a warp capable ship.
Or is it slow warp?
Maybe like a max warp 1, warp 2 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe. But it took them a hell of a long time to get there. And so there's been no contact with these people in forever. And I guess the Federation put it at the top of their list to get to them, because we're showing up 4 years later.
Well,
after we realize there's lethal radiation and no contact.
Well, maybe that goes back to Khan, and they're like, you forgot this guy. Let's go check up on this one. Maybe they were on the way to see Khan and then forgot to make the left turn at Albuquerque.
Well, this is a good connection, because maybe with all the numbered planets, Kirk had been checking in on Omicron Ceti III instead of
Ceti Alpha C.
See, it even had Ceti in the name and numbers.
Yeah. And Berthold rays, apparently they just chew up skin tissue. So the planet should just be a bunch of skeletons walking around.
So I guess it's a cumulative effect, because nobody beams down with any kind of radiation protection.
Well, didn't they say it was, or is that later on that they said we have 9 hours or 9
Something
days?
like that. They'd be okay for a certain amount of time, and then after that, they would be in trouble.
I think I'd probably still want to wear my lead underwear just in case.
Or at least the shower curtain.
Yeah.
Then we come up to this town again, and is this a set from an old series?
Yeah, according to the research I did, this was a standing set. There were 2 standing sets they used. Part of this set was featured multiple times in Gunsmoke, and the other one was a Disney set that was used in many of their productions. So I think they used it effectively.
It does kind of look run down, like you would expect it to be abandoned, or no inhabitants.
A ghost town.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they show up.
And this guy's wearing the standard "I'm not in Starfleet uniform."
Well, they all are.
Guy looks like Brock Lesnar in the background.
He looks like, I never noticed him before. He looks like he looks like one of that tall munchkin.
The lollipop broke off. There, the stick.
He's got the same haircut as that Munchkin or the Lollipop Guild.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with the Lollipop Guild. Looks like they mean business.
So is this side of paradise? What do you think that means?
Well, I know it's a reference to a F. Scott Fitzgerald novel, which I have not read. I know the other side of paradise. No, that's the other side of the mountain. So they're totally shocked that people are alive. With once again Spock presenting information that turned out to be completely inaccurate.
Yeah. We're gonna go the Cracker Barrel store here.
Reminds me of the Duke farm from the Dukes of Hazzard.
It does, doesn't it?
Yep. And here we have the great Jill Ireland.
Yeah, she was good. What else? Do we know her from?
She did a lot in the 60s and 70s. She was married to Charles Bronson for a very long time before her death. I think in the early 90s or late 80s. She was in Death Wish 2. She was in quite a few movies with Bronson. Assassination in 87. I think that was her last movie. Did a lot of TV work. A lot of film work too, but good actress. Now, interestingly enough, this was a Sulu love story when the first draft was done. So, and the name Leilani Kolama kind of stuck. That's why the casting director went with somebody with clear Pacific Islander heritage here for this role. And we've got the most blonde, blue-eyed, English accented Pacific Islander I've ever seen in my life. But I think she does a really great job in the role. She brings a real nice childlike innocence to her romance with Spock and her feelings.
And I thought that was cool because in this shot you get a dolly zoom into a close up, and then you get the same dolly zoom into a close up on Spock also.
With two totally different emotional reactions. Yeah, it really works.
And I'm sitting here wondering, where could they have met before? Because she's been gone for 4 years at the very least. And I mean, is this Spock's? I mean, how long have this crew been together so far?
So let's figure that out. So figure at least a year, if not longer. Some people like to say the first 2 years are the missing 2 years of the 5-year mission, and we're coming in year 3, 4, and 5. Others say we're seeing the first 3 years and we missed 4 and 5. So I would say no more than 2 years.
So have we seen this character in Strange New Worlds?
No, she has not made an appearance yet. I'm sure she'll be shoehorned in there someplace. I kind of get the impression they try and say it without saying it, but I'm assuming that they were very young when they met. I mean, she's there with colonists. She's a botanist by trade, I believe. So she's a scientist.
Maybe they met at the academy or something.
Yes, she could be an academy dropout. Met through Sarek's diplomatic missions. Surfing. So
Me-
this line cracks me up. Sulu, I wouldn't know what's wrong on a farm if it was 2 feet from me, and we've got the 2 alien pod plants approximately 2 feet away from him.
But that's not the line that I took away as being weird. Because this guy opens the barn and he says it's not even, built for for animals. It's just built for storage, and, leave it to Sulu to mention, hey, there's no dogs here.
So
I don't know if he's looking to cook a meal
yeah.
or.
So one of the things that kind of struck me, and again, first season, I get it, but we've already established in one of the earlier episodes, what is one of Sulu's hobbies?
Fencing.
Besides fencing, does anybody remember the giant puppet plant? Gertrude or Beauregard from the one with the salt vampire?
Right.
So botany is one of his hobbies. And he just walked past 2 very strange looking plants and didn't give them a second look.
Well, he usually makes soup out of them, I guess.
Yes.
Spore soup.
And apparently, poor Leilani here has no idea what a Vulcan is.
Now, would that be? I guess if you go back far enough, and you say, what at what age do Vulcanians purge their emotions and feelings and stuff?
Well, we've had 50 years of continuity and anti-continuity to kind of settle this, but it looks like they do start them at a very young age.
So because
Spock later makes mention of being taunted by other Vulcans for not being able, in like when he was young in school, for not being able to control his emotions. And we do see a little part of that in the Kelvinverse films, where he's goaded into fighting. There's an episode of the animated series where he's picked on because he's half human. So I think they do kind of start them at a very, very young age with the teachings of Surak.
Okay. And I thought this is where it got spooky for me, because Elias says, do you want him to stay to be one of us? And I'm thinking to myself, what does that mean?
It's a cult.
Yeah, and then she says that there is no choice. Like, she knows what's coming. And that is a pretty evil look. And Spock out in the wilderness makes another discovery that there's no life on the planet except for a little bit of strange fauna, right?
Which is life on the planet. I think I think you meant to say animal life, but yeah, it still counts. Chief Science Officer.
We didn't say he was a good one yet.
Yeah, you should have seen the ones they turned down. Oof.
And who was their second choice that got turned inside out in the motion picture?
Sonak.
Yeah. So here they're talking about the animals that didn't survive and how anything will grow in this soil, but I don't know.
It
That
doesn't
doesn't
look
seem like the
healthy.
healthiest garden there.
Yeah.
I mean, all the
So this
all the
is all
brown
they
plants.
planted for all these colonists. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, didn't they make mention that didn't the guy come over and say there's not enough? Yeah, right here. Yeah, he says there's not enough to. I mean, that's a Texas garden in August.
Okay. So I had to look this up. I don't know if the background looks familiar, but this is very close to where the 407 7th was.
Oh, MASH.
Yeah, and also we have seen apes riding horses all through the back areas here. It was used
Wow.
extensively, Planet of the Apes. They were not far from where the corn was grown for the first Planet of the Apes film, for the hunt sequence.
And how do you find out this information? Where do you?
Actually, I went to one of my resource materials, and the trivia section on the IMDb had a lot of stuff. The book that I have, there's 3 really great references, and I'll drag them out next week. If you can get them from your local library, definitely do so, because they are a little expensive to purchase. But each episode has got chapters and chapters about the history, the production cost of each episode, script changes, casting decisions, location decision. I mean, it's just chock full of stuff. Great reads.
Send me the names of those, and then what I'll do is I'll put them in the link for anybody that wants to.
Yeah.
I'll put the link in the description for anybody that wants to, purchase it.
Yeah.
Instead of eggs.
Yep. What was I going to say? It's an indispensable reference. A lot of photos from deleted scenes that have never been seen before. So, yeah, highly recommended. In fact, I can't recommend it enough, and can't remember the title of all 3 volumes that I have. So, I'll get it by the end of the episode.
So we have McCoy reporting in on checking out the colonists, and they're apparently growing body parts back.
Which doesn't appear to be a big red flag as it should be.
Right. You would.
Yeah.
I just can't get over this garden.
It's a little overgrown.
So she wants to explain something to Spock, but then decides later, I guess this is her setting him up.
The old sweet talker. Logically, you should all be dead. Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
Mm.
But yeah, that was the very first Hallmark card.
Or the very last.
So we find out that Kirk is under orders to bring everybody back. Everybody that should be dead.
Well, technically his order says bring back the remains, but I guess if you're alive, we can take you too.
And Sandoval doesn't want to go. He just
And I gotta say, this guy who plays Sandoval, I loved him. I thought he was great in this part.
yeah. So she found these things first, and I guess brought them, or brought everybody over like she's doing with Spock now, just to. So she's the leader of the cult.
So again, a trained scientist on a foreign alien world walks straight up to an alien plant and gets shot in the face by it.
Because
Now
in
Go
in
ahead.
past episodes, we've seen them take the tricorder and
Yes, yeah, yes. That's what I was getting at. We don't even pass a tricorder over it. We just get hit in the face with asbestos and what appears to be styrofoam packing. Mhm. Now, sadly, this would not be the last time Leonard Nimoy was taken over by an aggressive alien plant.
What other episode was that?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've blocked that movie out of my memory banks because it scared the hell out of me as a kid.
I tell you the truth, I just recently watched that about 3 months ago, and that movie still holds up. It's a damn good movie.
That whole was it Donald Sutherland at the end? Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like,
Well, it's a 70s movie. They all had to end on a down note.
and I was
By the way, spoiler alert.
yeah, I was trying to think of what movie it was. But it comes across my feed every once in a while. There's a movie from the 70s that I remember watching as a kid where there's a ghost on a plane. And at the end, the very last shot is I don't know if it's out the window or if the door's blown off, but it's kind of like you see the sun setting in the distance. I don't know if it's like the ghost of Flight 407 or one of those.
Terror at 37,000 feet, maybe.
I'm
That
not
one, I know,
sure.
that one I know Shatner's in.
It wasn't. I don't think it was a Shatner movie. Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is.
We'll have to do a separate podcast about childhood traumas. Thanks
Yeah,
to movies and TV movies of the 70s.
and 80s because the first movie that I saw naked breasts in was Ghost Story
Oh, okay.
with what's her name? Krieg.
Alice Krieg,
Yeah,
our board queen.
our Borg Queen. Yep. And that one scared the hell out of me too. That it was like a whole bathtub scene or something, and
That's a great movie. That's
sitting
a
in the
great
balcony with my dad at the Smithtown Theater. It's where we saw that, and boy, that was freaky. He
That's a
thought he was
cool
going to
movie.
see a Fred Astaire movie.
Well, if Fred Astaire is in it,
Fred Astaire is in it.
but he does not dance.
No, don't ask him either.
Yeah. Well, at least John Houseman kept his clothes on during that movie. So
What was his famous line?
it was Smith Barney. We earned it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
No. For those of you under 60, these references mean that we love them though.
Yeah. You'll need an old book.
And for those of you who don't know what a book is, we'll be happy to explain that as well.
And then we have wise ass Spock here.
What do you want?
Spock, come
Notice-
in.
What
Spock.
happened? Spock is wearing different clothes.
That's what I wondered. They were out in the middle of nowhere, and then the next scene, he's got these green coveralls.
He may have sporulated all over his uniform. That's all I can think of. So I was wondering if that just kind of to let us know that, something went on, or was it more of a hint to let us know he joined them? But yeah, I thought it was an interesting choice.
So does anybody else change clothes when they get spored on?
No, McCoy is still wearing his uniform, and
So is Sulu.
Sal. Yeah, no one else changes. Now, why we don't have a Hallmark ornament of that scene?
Yeah, that would be
It's
good.
hanging off your Christmas tree branch upside down.
I'm gonna tag Hallmark in this episode.
Don't give him any ideas.
The new Spock upside down hanging from your Christmas tree ornament from the Hallmark collection.
Press the back and he says, "I don't think so, Jim." So Kirk is obviously a little teed off by what he's seeing here. Again, not saying, "Wow, what the hell is going on here?"
Right.
He just gets annoyed that Spock is being disrespectful.
So these are kind of like what were those flower, not the I'm thinking like the Chuckle Patch. No, so maybe not.
They do kind of remind me of the Triffids from Day of the Triffids.
Hmm. They don't have jokes on their petals.
No, they do not have the tree will, a branch will come down with a little card attached to it with a joke, but that's about it. So this is not the first time this has happened to Sulu.
Now, didn't it get Kirk here? And is there something?
Not the spores. I think just the powder cloud did, but I don't think he got any spores on him.
Well, he's in a cloud. He looks like Pigpen there. And here comes good old Southern drawl McCoy.
Yeah, this got old real quick. And then she had some kind of weird accent too.
I wonder if they told everybody just act stoned, and this is what they thought stone would be. Well, I lost my patch. There we are.
So we got one on the bridge. And then we have a line for the bathroom. Or is this to get backstage?
This is the Shatner autograph signing. So literally that picture could have been taken at any convention.
Yeah. And here we see the first Star Trek convention.
It was the annual sick bay scoliosis screening.
They were all doing the what was it? We had to do the physical for Jim.
Oh, the president's physical fitness test.
Yeah. So this is Kirk's captain's log, and he can't figure out why he's been unaffected. And Bones is just thinking about booze.
Like any good doctor. So, why is Kirk unaffected? Obviously, we find out shortly that it's strong emotions. But he was already pissed at Spock when the thing blew up in his face. So maybe that gave him a little bit of a natural resistance to it.
Okay.
Maybe these things have to kind of catch you off guard at your baseline. That sounds vaguely familiar. So these things aren't native to the planet. They just are lucky enough to be resistant to the Berthold rays and kind of, I guess, stuck around until they could find appropriate hosts.
Well, Spock isn't human, so I guess he's half human, so
Humanoid host, I guess.
yeah. And then we have Kirk goes to I mean he's all by himself on the bridge. And then there's a great I don't know which version you saw, but the one that I have, I don't know if it's from the DVD and it's different when you stream it. But this scene comes up on the version that I have, and I just thought it was kind of strange to see this version. Only overwhelmed. Look over at the controls.
I knew you were going to do this when I watched it this afternoon.
And it had a weird ending, this shot. I couldn't figure out why.
That's on the far side of City, Omicron 3.
Is that it's on the other? It's on the other
hemisphere. So
yeah.
This episode, The Empty Bridge, they used footage for this for the Next Generation episode Relics, when Scotty walks into the holodeck recreation of the Enterprise.
So they just cropped out the door with Kirk in it?
So when we get the establishing shot, the door's shut, and then the door opens up. So they took that 1 or 2 seconds before the door opened and put it on a video loop in the background. But that's where this footage came from.
That's pretty neat.
Yep.
Yeah, so he realizes he can't pilot this ship by himself. Is that true? I mean, can you just like go from the chair on the left and say, Here's where I want to go, and then go to the chair on the right and hit go.
You know, this is what always bothers me about space travel. It's empty. Just point it in direction and then go take a nap. The chance of you hitting anything is infinitesimally remote. Now, would I love to have seen the scene where he starts in the right chair, then has to go to the left chair, then he's got to run over to the science station, then run over to the engineering station, then back to the communications? Sure, that would have been a hoot, but we didn't get it. By the time Star Trek 3 rolls around, they could at least partially automate the ship. And by the time we get to next gen, a ship like the Galaxy class didn't require, as big as it was and more advanced than this ship, required really the same amount of crew because they had already automated a lot of the functionality. So, you had a crew of 400 and then family and non-Starfleet personnel, scientific, over 600. So the bulk of the people on the Enterprise D were all civilian.
Which I thought was weird.
Well, if it was a long-range ship going out there, I could almost understand it. But the Enterprise D really just bounced around to planets that had already been established. And, in concept, I like the idea. In practice, in fact, as we've moved forward with Star Trek, they have kind of abandoned that concept. And I would think probably the Dominion War had a lot to do with that, because you had these giant ships that held civilians, which made great targets. So, yeah.
Well, you would have thought that would have ended with the Borg.
Yeah, that probably had something to do with it too. Speaking of the Borg, in the earliest drafts of the script, the spores and the plants were, for lack of a better word, using the sporulation to get the humans into a collective consciousness. So almost like a organic collective, before the idea was kind of scrapped and went in this direction, which I thought was kind of a neat idea.
Oh, so I guess here he mentions he's got automatic controls.
The great inflatable just come up at each station.
Right. He can't call anybody.
So now we get sad, introspective Kirk. And now he's kind of at a low point. And what happens?
Then where did that plant come from?
Sulu.
But it wasn't there in the wide shot.
Yeah,
in
you're
this
right.
scene.
It wasn't there in the wide shot.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, because it was over. It was over in like front of the Sulu station, right?
You mean the thing that propped up and shot all over his face? Yes, that was in front of the station. Coincidentally.
And he likes it.
And again, act stoned. He actually looks stoned in the shot you have here.
Hey, man.
Would have been funnier if the toupee flew back when the thing blew up in his face. He's about to rock out to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
And here he's packing his Starfleet luggage.
Starfleet issued Samsonite. Well, to be fair, he had seen a commercial where Mugatu was banging it around a cage and it didn't break. So
Now, was he a basketball star?
I don't know what the hell that's supposed to. That's just a low rent prop somebody got at a flea market. I mean, even the red, white, and blue. I mean, they didn't change it to something more neutral.
France. It's France. French colors, right?
Maybe it's an award for surrendering.
We give up.
And of course, he can't leave his ship, and the emotions stir and kills the spores. Which also kind of reminds me of the Next Gen episode where Riker gets infected. And, the clip show where they run through all his memories and emotions and they find out. So maybe these plants are related. Yeah, nobody said anything about arousing Spock. So
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
let's just move on.
So now we're trying to get Spock up to the bridge to start a fight.
Now, was that in his suitcase? And if so, why?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like anything they'd use in that room. So, using pretty much what he used in the episode with the android duplicate of calling Spock horrible names, Kirk sticks with what works.
He did have some cool insults there.
Look at the luggage just sitting on the transport.
Just waiting.
Just
Kind of
wait.
like my luggage when it gets to the airport. It just sits there, and then I beam down and be like, "Where's my bag?"
He's got the orange overweight thing on the side.
I'm sorry, sir. You have to check this bag.
But I'm just beaming down. And he goes into the whole tirade. He insults Vulcans. He insults his parents. He insults his mother. And then finally, when he attacks Spock for making love to that woman, that's when Spock has had enough.
So what traitor issue is he talking about? Is it the Romulans?
I don't know. He could just be was throwing out a general insult. I think maybe with some of the stuff we saw in Enterprise, with that revised Vulcan Earth history, maybe that's what he's alluding to, where the Vulcans were trying to hold us back.
Yeah.
But again, at this point, I think it was just, he's insulting his species, he's insulting his parents.
I mean, he just keeps going. He
called him subhuman race. I mean, he's basically, you know what? He probably ran to McCoy's diary. I'm gonna write that one down. Subhuman race. Okay, good.
It's all on his hand. And
yeah. You belong to a circus, not a starship. Next hand. So,
And he does kind of look like the dog-faced boy there from the Weekly World News.
it's been 200, 300 years, right? Do you think he would have, well, maybe Spock would, but these references were probably dated by 1970, 1980. So I thought it was a little hackney, that's all. And
So
then
then Spock attacks somebody. I don't know who that guy is, but he
Yeah.
attacks him.
First of all, look at this. Look at the hair on Spock. It looks like it's a woman's wig. This guy, I don't know where they got him from, but he's about 40 pounds lighter than Shatner.
Different hair.
Different hair color. The only thing that's original in there is the Samsonite luggage. And then a random piece of equipment is picked up.
And isn't that the same? Isn't that the same pose from what's
The meme?
yeah, is that the meme?
No,
Isn't the meme from another episode?
He has a different face in the meme.
yeah, and he's sitting in the chair. The meme is from the last episode.
That's what I thought, but
Yeah.
kind of the same thing.
So, John, I'm sure you remember that a lot of this dialogue was recycled into. They used to play it on the radio every once in a while. The make it sound like Kirk and Spock were having inappropriate relations.
No, I don't recall that.
I'll dig it out for you. It's hysterical. Yeah. So now everything's back to normal. Spock is quoting regulations. And Kirk's like, gave Spock a pardon and he pardoned himself because, that flies now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so again, a subsonic weapon being used from orbit where sound doesn't travel. I'm going to let it go again.
Well, didn't they say it's going to the communicators?
Yeah, I thought that's what they said.
Maybe I missed that part.
Yeah, they're going to transmit it to everybody's communicator.
But they won't hear it.
But yeah,
that really is subsonic. So she comes up and, well, yeah.
okay. So here we go again. And I know, Deb, you mentioned this one earlier. He's in the green. She calls him. Are you okay? Is everything okay up there? But Spock's had time to go change.
Now, she doesn't get alarmed that the only two people on this ship were Kirk and Spock has taken the time to change again. How long were you guys up there by yourselves?
Yeah, that's what I'm...
And she knows right away.
So did they beam her back? Did she come back up? Or did he go down?
Well, they turn on the subsonic thing. She comes up, so she's on the Enterprise. Oh, 6 years ago. So 2 years before they left.
Now, has she been unspored?
Yeah, her emotion over crying over Spock got rid of the spores.
Because I don't know, she kind of looks a little bit different.
She's sad. She's not playing stoned anymore. Yeah,
But like, I mean, you see the wrinkles, and you see, I mean, she's looks older.
I think that was probably, if you looked at this episode, how they filmed her.
They always
with
have a filter or
angelic
something.
light from the back. They backlit her a lot. Very soft focus. There's none of that here. So maybe that's just, again, where they're doing the uniform thing to show Stone Spock and back to normal Spock. Maybe they're doing a little something with the cinematography to show that the spell is broken with her.
Right, which really goes to show you, like we've discussed in previous episodes, the lighting on Kirk and how he looks, with certain shadows and stuff. They really spend a lot of time with lighting and making people look like the scene, that the emotion, and because to me this looks like she's changed.
Yep. So I think they were very blessed to have a lot of guys at this time who had done lighting during the golden age of Hollywood. When you're using black and white film, you're using film stock and not video, where the light plays differently. These were guys at the height of their craft. Now, they just throw some LEDs up and call it a day. But those guys were great, and they have to work hand in hand with the cinematographer to achieve, that look. And definitely for the time, this was probably one of the best lit shows that was out there. Like, if you look at shows that are comparable around this time, like, let's say Brady Bunch or Gilligan's Island, or give me something else. Even like
I Dream of Jeannie.
I Spy. They all look super bright with one light level throughout the entire thing. And here,
well, except for whenever you saw Ginger, she was always in that glow,
that shimmer. Yep. But at least on this set, and it might also have to do with the sets and the angles that are used, they make beautiful use of shadows to give depth to a lot of stuff that there really is no depth.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wondered about what the other name was.
Chewie?
Golden Flaken Verdensbaden. It's about some Norwegian thing.
Yeah. So here I am thinking, I see this shot after she comes back, and I'm thinking, okay, that was a good episode. I enjoyed that one. And then it just keeps going for another 10 minutes.
10 minutes of everybody going, oh, I can't believe I did that.
Whereas they could have just, ended it there, and you assume that the subspace beacon, whatever it is, worked on everybody, but we have to get them tooling around with a cat cage, a crab cage, and an ashtray.
I thought that was an oil pan for a 63 Impala. You have a upside down funnel, and when they go to put the screen back, it's that decorative screen they used to put around radiators. It cracked me up. At least it's better than what they did when Uhura was working under there, where they had string.
Well, I mean, it does look like there's some kind of string.
I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be. Boy, does this thing work well. These two guys start swinging each other with shovels. I wonder if there's like multiple settings on this and we just put it up to 11.
Right? Yeah, they. I think we set it up a little too high,
Spock,
or maybe they're just fighting over the cucumbers there.
Spock, you have it set on that escalated quickly. Oh, I know. Yeah. So, these guys just start throwing fists at each other.
So do these guys.
These guys.
They're just rolling around. And there's the trunk. Sitting under a tree drinking a mint julep.
Where did he find mint? Where did he find fresh mint to put in his mint julep? Or the alcohol, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Sucking on a blade of grass. I thought this was pretty cool for Bone. He's like, work? I'm a doctor. And you're like, not anymore. And that just sets him off.
Oh boy, more so than usual. Like I said, maybe he wasn't even affected by the spores, and this is just
or maybe the alcohol already killed off the spores.
Yeah. So these two escalate, and then
yeah, they're both getting angry, aren't they?
Well, I guess he's close enough to McCoy's communicator to be being affected by it. Mechanic, there's no, this cracked me up. Do you see anything mechanical here except for maybe a water pump? He's like trying to get out of work still. Well, you know what? Why don't you make me an electrical engineer? And then we get the worst fight in Star Trek history, where it's just one punch to the gut, and between
That's
two middle-aged men, and that's
One punch McCoy. And then all of a sudden he's well. Look at McCoy's sleeve.
What am I looking at?
Well, he's lost some of his golden.
No, that's the pattern.
Is it?
Yeah, there are solid rings and then dashed rings. So
I never noticed that before.
Yeah, so that 2 solid rings is a full commander. 1 solid ring and 1 dash is a lieutenant commander. 1 ring by itself, I think, is lieutenant.
So kind of like the Pippets.
Yeah, it's the Pips. Yeah,
The Pips. Oh, that's right. Pippet was a dog.
Pipit was eaten by a shark.
Yeah. Still trying to catch his breath from the punch.
Yeah. He hit him right in the appendix. I grew back. McCoy gets to remove it again.
Gotta come out.
And the nice part is they slowly realize what a complete waste this has been, and that they decided it is time to move on.
Now you would think they would leave some kind of satellite that says, "Hey, don't go sniffing the roses."
They probably just put a sign on the grass, dangerous plants, that just left. Or, maybe kill all the invasive species that are on the planet. But again, if the planet has been hit with all these birds over, who the hell's going to go there anyway?
And then we get the Trace Caballeros at the end of the episode.
Just once, I'd love them to do a Naked Gun ending. Where they're all standing still.
Yeah.
The credits roll. And what a great admission here from Spock.
Yeah.
And then we cut before McCoy has anything snarky to say about that comment. We leave on a high note and off to our next adventure.
Yeah, that was I thoroughly enjoyed that one. One of those, another one I've never seen at all. So
yeah, I enjoy this one on a lot of levels. Like I said, I have a couple nitpicky issues with it. One is I think we relied way too heavily on the romantic theme that plays every time Spock and Jill Ireland are together, to the point that it was like nails on a chalkboard. But it did have its moments. Mr. Leslie got a speaking line, so there's a plus there. That's the last time we ever hear Mr. Leslie utter a line. When Kirk says it's mutiny, and he says, "Yes, it is, sir." That's it. No more talking to Mr. Leslie. And we get to see a different side of Spock, which is always interesting. That side that's repressed gets to come out and play a little bit. And I think Nimoy did a really nice job balancing the two. And all the guest star performances were good. And the concept could have played out very differently with plant creatures, but I thought they kept it very grounded. The plants weren't talking, they weren't moving around. I enjoyed it.
right. So what you're saying is when these spores are revisited in strange new worlds, they're going to have teeth and they'll be walking going.
Yeah. They'll be fast walking. They'll be running, and they'll be sentient, and they'll teach us about the evils of eating vegetables and plant life. So we have to find something new to gripe about. Solid episode.
Yeah, this one was out of the last three, I would say Space Seed was the best, and this one, and what was 2 weeks ago? Archons, right?
No. 2 weeks ago was A Taste of Armageddon, right?
Oh, right. So I would say those two were the last two have been pretty on par with each other. And what do we have? What do we have next week?
Ooh, next week we have The Devil in the Dark, I believe.
Yeah.
What is that one? What's the quick synopsis of that one?
The Enterprise is called to a mining facility that is experiencing a series of accidents and horrible deaths, where workers are being essentially burned to a crisp with no explanation. And the Enterprise is sent to investigate what's going on. Very atmospheric, creepy episode. And to me, one of the things I love about this episode that's coming up is I think it hits the seek out new life, and to paraphrase, another Starfleet captain, and there it is, where we get to broaden our minds about what is life and how we treat it. And I think it's a great episode, and the performances are all fantastic.
Any special guest stars we should be looking for?
Well, there's one that's near and dear to my heart. So one of the actors who plays the head of the mining operation actually appeared in one of my favorite Honeymooners episodes with basically the same Brooklyn accent. He played the cop in the episode where the gangsters are coming after Ralph, and thanks for nothing. And he's in there, and as soon as he opens his voice, you're like, "Oh my God, that's him! That's him!"
All right, I'll see if I can pinpoint them with next week's next week's episode. You said "Devil in the Dark."
Devil in the Dark, and a whole bunch of red shirts in that episode.
That make it
Not good.
So our little video is gonna grow.
We may have to up our video on that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'll have to watch it. I'll have to watch this before Thursday. Is what you're telling me?
Yeah.
There might be some video production.
Yeah. And I've always had a connection to this one because it's one of the ones that I watched with Emma when she was little that connected with her, and she still likes to watch to this day if it's on. So, and I'm going to try and get her thoughts on the episode too. So we can see somebody under the age of 40 what their perspective on it is.
She'll bring a whole new demographic to the show.
She will. She definitely will.
What'd you think of this episode, Deb?
Yeah, it was a good episode, even though on my TV it glitched a lot. But yeah, good episode. I liked seeing the opposite side of Spock. Kirk's reaction to that's just classic. Cracked me up. So yeah, good episode.
What do you got? What do you got coming up on your radar this week? Besides streaming every single night.
No, I don't stream on Wednesdays. Sometimes I do on Sunday, but not every Sunday. So
there's the name of your next podcast. I don't stream on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, I don't stream on Saturdays either. So I have 3 days off. It's good.
No Sundays?
Occasionally, depending on what movie Cam is talking about.
Okay.
Then I'll be on his show. So
well, speaking of next Wednesday, tune in here next Wednesday at probably 7:00, same time. I am speaking with the co-founders of Legion M about their new movie, My Dead Friend Zoe. Saw this last year at South by Southwest.
It's getting a lot of buzz.
It is fantastic. I usually don't like Sonequa, but she was good in this movie.
Is it a horror film or something?
It is a dark comedy about a soldier who comes home from the war and is traumatized by her dead friend. So she's seeing her and It's just really good. When it comes, it'll be out. I think it comes out next Friday. They'll be on the program Wednesday. It also has Ed Harris and Morgan Freeman.
Oh,
So if
Freeman.
it's playing in a theater near you, go see it. But if you're interested, watch the stream next Wednesday. I'll have Jeff and Paul. This will be Jeff's third time, and Paul's a Geek and I virgin, so we'll break him of that.
And what time is that, John?
7 p.m. Central Time. And if you're available, Marty, come on in.
Yeah, I'll find out. I gotta take a look at my schedule. I got a ton of doctor's appointments coming up. So
Okay. Well, we will see you guys next week on Federation Friday for Devil in the Dark. Thanks for spending some time with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because you know how you see these guys always put the charts up that say 79% of the people who aren't subscribed, or we're at 100%. So
we're coming for you, Rogan.
yeah, watch out. We will see you next time.
Live long and prosper, gang.
Have a good, yeah, that too. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye. There we go.